Good morning, Friday the 25th of October, so another weekly update for you. Guys, just remember you can click down in the times of the description if you haven't got time to watch all this video. You can just skip to some of the subjects you might be more interested in, but we'll start with a weekly update. So greens, we are cutting one day, rolling the next now, so yeah, every other day they're cut, every other day they're rolled, apart from Fridays, which is today. So we've cut and rolled today to really try and prepare them and get them at their best, ready for the weekend. Additionally, we've cut aprons this morning and move markers and done a divot between the tees. And of course, our 5am bunker rake had a really great week this week. Really nice and dry. Did a good course setup Monday where we came in and got all the bunkers back in play after quite a wet week last week. So not that they weren't in play, sorry, but to get them really fluffed up and back to their best, getting any washdowns fixed and fluffing up those bases ready for a good dry week, which is what we always look at. I'm going to do a video later of bunkers and sort of question we've been asked. So a period of good weather, so got in there and raked all those up. As you can see, the leaves are starting to fall out on the golf course now, so can make some areas untidy. So we really try to focus on greens, green surrounds, aprons, tees as well. Keep all those areas clean each day. Had the fairway mowers out and the semi mowers out this week as well, so that ties in quite nicely with leaves, actually getting all the leaves blown off into the semi-rough, get the semi-rough mower over them to mulch them up and help tidy them up and start breaking them down. What else have we been up to this week? We've been out in the farmer's field this week to help top up the stock of range balls. That really helps. We went around the whole of the perimeter of the driving range and out into the field. As I said, it can put a lot of pressure when the ball machine gets quite low on staff, including ourselves and the pro shop. So it's great to have that. It's great to have that topped up, so we can sort of do 3 collects when there's a lot of balls. Three collections a week is good. So rather than there being a lot of pressure and having to do it every day. So that's been the main setups this week. Other frequencies of other mowing, so we go to what I call our sort of every 4 to 5 day winter system now. So with tees, green surrounds and changing holes, doing those jobs and changing holes twice a week can be a little bit too much this time of year. We struggle with a huge amount of pin positions because greens aren't massive here, so you change holes twice a week and you get very close to old hole plugs, etc. So we go to what I call our every 4 or 5 day system. So one week we'll do it Monday Friday, which we did last week, and then the next week we go to the Wednesday, which was this week, and then next week we'll go back to the Monday Friday. So that's what I call our every 4 or 5 day system. So once a week isn't enough, but twice a week is almost too much. So that's how we manage that and do that. So project update for this week. We've come to a close on the couple of projects we've been working on. So down at the first mound, we've now turfed those banks. We've put some bark on the side, which is near the men's changing rooms. We've also barked the top just to try and stop some weeds coming through, just to keep it neat and tidy. Just left to do on that is to plant some gorse on the top to add some height to that for protection of the 10th tee. But it's great to have got to that stage this week and start closing that down, start closing projects down and move on to some more. Also up at the 12th tee, we've created a bit of a tee bank from the pathway to the tee top. So you quarried a little bit more out of 8, and then created a bank there and put the turf on the top of that. So that brings a close to that. So turf the left side and the back side, so everything you see coming around from the 11th green round to the 12th tee is all neat, tidy and turfed. That closes that down, and then we wait for the grass to grow and the sward to get thick enough on that to start playing for that, which is it's a really great, really positive to shut down those projects and to start being able to work on some more. We'll next week start shaping up that 8th quarry as mentioned, and we'll start making that look the way we want to. So that'll be part of the plan for next week. But great to have closed those projects out and start moving on to some more. A question has come into the golf club on bunkers. It was a comment made on Saturday, I believe, last weekend, saying that the bunkers are very firm and hard pan at the moment, and what was sort of going on with those. So I'll just give a bit of an explanation as to that. We had a very, very wet week last week, and so quite often, if we go out and rake those bunkers, they will turn back into hard pan from the rain. Ultimately, we're only a 5-man team here, and so everything we do has to be thought about and be efficient and a good use of our time. So if we were to have raked the bunkers on Monday morning, they would have been hard pan again by Tuesday morning. If we're the same on Tuesday, they'd have been hard pan again Wednesday. Same on Friday as well. We had a lot of rain Friday night, Saturday morning. So all of our jobs, we look at what fixtures there are on, how many staff we have available to us with holidays and things like that, and what the weather's going to be. So to full rake bunkers on our site is probably about it's somewhere between a 4 and 6 hour job. 4 hours if they're very dry and very easy to rake and we just do a flat rake, but it can be as long as 6 hours if we are blowing the leaves out, perhaps moving sand levels and putting a few weeds. That's probably even longer than that. We put that into maintenance. That's even longer than the 6 hours. So yeah, it can go as long as six man hours at this time of year, including blowing all the leaves out and things like that. So it's got to be a good use of our time. And I'm afraid whether last week we didn't rake bunkers because they would have just turned back into hard pan, and you've put all those man hours in for no benefit really. So that's the reason why they were hard pan. That's the reason why they were hard pan last week, and then we looked at the weather forecast. It was a lovely week, so Monday morning we got straight out there and then raked them up, because we knew we had at least 2-3 days where they were gonna be. Well, we had a great week, but we knew we were going to get a good amount of time out of that rake, if that makes sense, rather than just going back to hard pan, as I've said a bit already. So I'm just down at the shore, and I'll give a bit of an explanation and on the bunkers and the way we rake them. So I've spent quite a bit of time in this bunker this morning. I spent about half an hour just in this bunker, purely because of the sand splash. As you can see, we rake a hard pan on the faces, and then we fluff the bases up. Now that is for aesthetics, because it looks quite nice, and also to encourage balls to roll into the middle of the bunker, making it slightly easier for golf to have a easier shot out of there. Whether that's right or wrong is contentious, but that's what we do, and that's why we do it. What I was just going to say down here is, any of you guys practicing that would like to help us out and do a bit for us, as I said at the start, I spent about half an hour in this bunker this morning, and most of the sand is all up that face. So what happens, you'll often hear golfers sort of moaning there's no sand in the bunkers. Quite often there is, but it's in the wrong places. So this is a great example of a bunker that is used a lot, where it's on the practice area, it's on the short game area, and golfers will hit from this fluffed up bit towards those flags, and so much of the sand is travelling towards that face and landing and ending up on that face. And then quite often, the way someone's just not raked their footprints here, so I'll give an example. Quite often it'll be a one-handed job, all raking towards yourself like so. So if you can, I see that so much on the golf course, and what I'm just trying to explain is the sand has been hit one way and then raked the other, and it's all coming out of the middle. So yeah, I always encourage to push sand back into the middle of the bunker, and just down here in this short game area, if you are willing to help us out a little bit, it would be great if you could just rake some of that sand off that face and back down into the base, if you would like to help us out. But as I said, we will stay on top of that the best we can. That'll be good for a good month or two now. But yes, if you would be able to help us out with that, that'd be fantastic. A question has come in from a golfer asking what some of the stakes are around the golf course. So if I just flip this round, you can see there's a white and green small stake there. There's another one here, and there's some more that surround the bunker up there. So what these do is they indicate where our semi-rough goes up to, and then where we would like to leave as sort of more a native wispy rough. So back in the spring we cut the long rough down and scarified it to try and produce wispy rough, which we've done very well this year. It stayed not too thick. Been very pleased with it. I'm on the 10th hole here, and it does give a good view of what we try to achieve with our semi-rough cut. So on the left hand side of this hole here, you can see that we've got the trees. So where we've got trees, we always try to cut the rough. So we'll cut the semi right out to the trees, and then we've got a little zero turn which will go underneath those trees to keep that neat and tidy. There's nothing worse than a double hazard of the trees and long rough. So in tight in play areas, so that's what we do. And then on the right hand side of this hole, as you can see, we do four bands worth of semi. We've got the fairway obviously in the middle there, and then we either have 2 or 4 bands worth of semi rough. So if we feel like it needs a bit extra room, then we'll do that. So on here we've got 4 bands worth of semi rough, purely because the fairway does slope quite a lot down this way, to give golfers a little bit extra room. And then we go into, as what we've already said, our sort of managed wispy rough before we go into, on other parts of the course we have more native rough. Obviously we've got a boundary fence here, so but on other areas we go into sort of pure native long grass rough. But so yeah, that's what these stakes are for, just to indicate where the semi rough goes up to, and just keep us consistent with where we're cutting each week. So that concludes this week's update. So thanks again for watching. As I already mentioned, this next week we will work on the chalk pit project wise, and lots of few maintenance jobs going on. Got a couple of questions in there this week on the stakes and the bunkers, so thanks for getting those in. As I said last week, any more, feel free to ask in the comments, or send them into the golf club, or send them across to us, and we will do our best to answer them and get them in here. And yeah, it's great. So catch you in again next week.